all protocols observed, Minister, Vice Chancellor, friends, colleague, Paloma, Vidya, if you're out there, because Mr. Vidya Kasoon, he's the one who has me up here today. So I don't know if you need to thank him or what I should do with him. Anyway, I'm a tropical forest ecologist. So why am I here? What am I here to talk to you about tonight? Well, I start my story June 9, 1995, Southeast London, when I was a student, starting my PhD. Usually when I'm talking about tropical forestry, I can rattle off, but you know, I had to put some words down on paper because this is not something, I think this is the first time that I'm speaking publicly about this event, about this particular situation in my life which I face. And some people here, even some of my family, may not know that I've been through this. So, as I sit under the tree, hidden from all eyes, I wait to go. I wait to die. And then it hits me. Oh my God, I really don't want to die. What have I done? My head is swinging, it's fuzzy, I can hardly walk. I'm in a park, by the way, I selected that site. But I barely make it up and up the hill. I see two young black men in the distance. They come towards me. I could only imagine they thought I was on drugs, and I begged them for help. Those were my angels. The next thing I knew, I woke up in the hospital. That was me 21 years ago. In a foreign land, dreary British weather, lack of sun. You know how it is for somebody from the tropics. The feelings of failure of a PhD that I had hardly started, a broken relationship, a new one that I should have never started, broken relationship with my parents because they didn't quite like the first relationship I was in. So that was like 7 years of bad communication. Feelings of nowhere to turn, feelings like I was alone. Feelings like I was going mad. Was this what a nervous breakdown felt like? I quickly realized that there was a very thin line between sanity and madness. Never could I put a name to what I was feeling. I didn't know what depression was. I didn't know what mental health issues were about in those days. I was 25, never really spoke about it with anyone. Until a few days after, an Oprah Winfrey show on depression literally showed me the light. So that was my experience in 1995. And while I am not clinically diagnosed with depression, I know how it feels. It's in my family, I've done the research, and I know once it's in your family, you can be genetically predisposed to it. So what does it feel like? The feeling of loss of self-worth, of hopelessness, the sometimes loss of rational thinking, the joylessness, the loss of energy, and probably worst of all for me, the numbness. I'm somebody who's very passionate with things I do, and when you feel numb and you can't get that passion, it's a very horrible, horrible thing. And then there's the pretending. There's the pretending that all is well when really all is not. And it's just easier to isolate yourself, myself, rather than to explain. Why? Because many just expect you to snap out of it. Many are not sympathetic. I think it's because they don't understand. Or maybe many just do not want to see a strong woman having weak moments. It took took me a long time to speak about it, 16 years to be exact. 16 years of shame eventually caught up with me, and the fact that there were other persons close to me suffering made it much easier to speak out. Then there's a stigma. She, Raquel, no way. She got it all. Why would she suffer from depression? She got PhD, she got this, she got that, she grew up in a good home, she was never abused. Why? Then, there are those who would tell you, you're not mentally ill. Do not use those words. Yes, mental illness seems like cuss words in our society, but it's not just Guyana. You're deemed mad. You say you're mentally ill, you're mad. So, it's much easier, it seems to me, to say, look, I have a physical condition, even cancer. Now, mental health issues. In the past 2 years, I personally know 6 people who have committed suicide. And this has really got me thinking. 2 years ago, a colleague right at work drank poison at work. In fact, when he was reacting to the poison, we had not known at the time that he had drank poison. He died. Shocking, huh? You'd think you'd know the signs. Never displayed symptoms. He was a deep Christian, always read his Bible every midday. Then there was Lolita, former colleague, who used to work at Iwokrama as well, but she took the kite shore route. Remember that? Then, my friend's brother, very close friend, shot himself last year, May. Zanita, our friend, many of us in this room, carbon tablets. And a recent case, another friend whose mother took her life, didn't know at the time why she died. Then a recent case of a minor who shot himself. That's a relative of mine who shot his wife first and then shot himself. Another relative of mine, he suffered from depression for many years. And I asked myself, what if I had chosen a different route? What if I didn't drink pills? What if I took poison? What if I didn't make it up the hill to get to those 2 young men? I try not to dwell on it too much. My thoughts are, there gotta be a reason for me being here. And maybe if I share my story, it will help someone else. I really do hope. This is my story. This is my personal story. But it could be the story of many. Thank you, Nicole. I see your hand up in the air. My episodes come in waves. What's that? I'm sorry. Is that on mic? My episodes come in waves. I've never been suicidal since, thank God, since 21 years ago. But it seems to me, and I don't know if Dr. Harry would explain it, but it seems to me when you suffer depression, or even when it's in your family, like your body kind of learns it. It kind of learns. I don't know. I can't really explain it. Anyway, so sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. And when it lifts, I feel like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. I feel myself. Unless I tell you, hardly would anybody know that I'm suffering a depressive episode. I'm highly functional, and I don't like to talk about it once I'm going through it. 2 months ago, I would not have been able to stand here and talk to you about it. And this is the reality of many, I believe. I went to a doctor 21 years ago on the insistence of my dad when I came back, because I came back in a mess just before I started my field work, because my supervisor then said, look girl, go back to Guyana, go in the forest, see what, and if you want to quit your PhD, then tell me in a few months. The doctor never counseled me, but handed me a bag of pills, and I think they were Prozac. I took one and threw the rest away. I felt I knew what I needed to work on. I also had a big fear, to be honest, of becoming dependent on pills. I do not take meds. I just don't feel this is the solution for me personally, but I understand that many need to take medicine, including people who are manic depressive, bipolar, and so on, anxiety, and so on. I just have developed methods of being able to cope with this. I also don't trust many people to talk about how I feel when I'm having an episode. I don't trust many counselors. I've heard too many stories of confidentiality issues, and this makes me very hesitant. This may be misplaced thinking. It's probably unfair. But I find there's a level of narrow-mindedness in this society. So it's one of the issues that prevents me. I have my little circle of friends. Some of them are scattered in this crowd right now. I also feel, I think one of the things I feel is that when I tell people about it, that it becomes their burden. And I don't think people can handle it very well. This is too very misplaced. But really, what do you say past saying, I'm feeling depressed? What do you say? And I know unless you really have suffered from depression, it's very difficult to really understand what it really, really feels like. But you know what? It's not all negative. I have learned to say no without apology and very confidently. I refuse to take on more than I can deal with. This journey has taught me so much about compassion for what others go through. And I would also like to believe that I've helped many others along the way in my journey. So, where do we go? I'm no expert. I'm an expert on plants and forests and so on. I can only speak from my observations, and there are many recommendations made by NGOs, governments, and other people that are working in the areas. But I want to ask, and I know Minister, don't take this the wrong way, but I want to ask, at a higher level, do we really have the political will in the country to deal with this issue? Thank you for saying that. I feel a bit hopeless sometimes because I feel the issue is not really understood when some stand on podiums to speak about this. It's not your speech tonight. Your speech was brilliant, Minister. I made some, but I will say, how do we reach our leaders who speak on the issue and have no experience on it? I mean, when I heard the president say, happy people don't kill themselves, I got very upset. I was feeling depressed at the time, and it didn't really make me feel comfortable that the issue will be dealt with. I hope to discuss this with him one day if I get the chance. But what is said in a speech by leaders can have a tremendous effect on someone who's feeling very low at the time. And I'm not only talking about leaders of the country, but leaders in any sphere that you operate. I feel almost that while there's a problem, there seems to be like a paralysis to deal with the issue. Yes, there's a here and there interventions, but we need to be really holistic and have a really true collaborative plan to tackle. The government can't do it alone. The NGOs cannot do it alone. UG cannot do it alone. We have to work together. I personally would like to see more about the National Suicide Prevention Strategy in the public domain. Some of the things that were mentioned tonight, I didn't even know. And I am highly interested in this. It's quite invisible. So how do you, connect and communicate along with caring, Minister? Minister of Education, and I'm sorry he's not here, in September 2016 committed to counselors in schools with a special unit set up. I hope we see urgent action on this. It's very needed because we need to address this from the stages of young people. I commend all efforts so far. Many persons in this room have been dealing with these issues. But I must say, and I noticed from some of the conversations on Facebook and some social media, that some persons have developed a superior attitude about their interventions, and this helps no one. We need to stop fretting about what the government is not doing, and who else is not doing, and who else is not acting. We need to help the government, and the government needs to be willing to listen and accept help. We also need to hold the government accountable. This is a human resource problem. This is a human resource issue. Human resources are one huge pillar that holds up this economy. So at the end of the day, because I know politicians like to hear about dollars, at the end of the day, this is about dollars and cents. If we lose our labor force, what is the age? 12 to 34, Look at that. If we lose those people, what are we going to accomplish? We need to encourage other NGOs as well in their fight and also support their way of doing things and not take the moral high road when others are doing things the way that we want to see it or not the way we want to see it done. And this may not refer to suicide or suicide prevention, but I've been seeing recently last week, especially as it related to Natasha's case with her pregnancy, we need to stop this judgmental activism that I see going on. We all have to help each other. Nobody's better than anybody. And we have to work together. So that's my little pet peeve for the evening, which I wanted to address. The next thing is UG, University of Guyana, NGOs. The hospital I see also have a responsibility to conduct proactive, stats-based, and peer-reviewed research. This is not Troy to get a set of figures. We need it. We need those kinds of things are important to get donor money into the country to implement your action plans. UG, I'm glad to see that you're doing some work, but we need to get that consciousness. I'm happy to see you have a program dealing with it. So I'm very positive about that. Now, NGOs and your campaigns. Some of you may not like what I have to say. I'm not going to apologize, but I just want you to listen because often we don't listen enough. Vidya Kassoon did a very powerful piece yesterday. Please go online, Facebook, and read it. Suicide Without Empathy. Everyone should read it. One part of this resonated with me in the campaigns and who they target. You probably have never seen me on a campaign. When I'm feeling low, I really don't want to join a vigil. I don't really want to hold up a sign I love life. And this is a reality for people suffering from mental illness. But it is good, BB, it is good. I'm not saying that is not good. What we need is a two-pronged approach. That intervention targets people that are well and young people who need the awareness. So that is needed. I'm not saying that's not needed. But we need an approach that targets, and this I'm speaking from my personal experience. If anybody wants to disagree with me, it's fine. This is how I feel. Target persons that are suffering. Interventions must include things like, I don't have all the answers, these are some things I think. Development of support groups. Support groups are very confidential support groups with guidelines of how to operate, right? Improved access to info, suicide hotlines. Can you show, by a show of hands, how many of you have the suicide hotline number saved in your phones? How many? Put up your hands. Shameful. Shameful. And we all know somebody that's depressed. We maybe all know somebody that's committed suicide. We all need to take responsibility. And after tonight, you get those numbers in your phone, please. I don't want to sound too arrogant. It's just a topic that is really, if somebody comes to you for help, you don't want to go fumbling all over for a number. They might need the help right now. You need to have the information pronto, immediately. So please, if there's one thing you leave from here, please put those numbers in your phone. We need to educate our society with mental illness so we can remove the stigma. So that when people feel ill, they know what it is. I didn't know what I had. Even I went to the hospital, the people just saw me as a little foreign student. Maybe they didn't tell me I was depressed. I had no clue. If it wasn't for Oprah Winfrey, I would have not known. Right? So we need to get a support. We need to be honest about cultural learning of suicide in some parts of this country. Is it more a coping mechanism for dealing with problems? Is it learned? This has to be tackled. We have to look at some of our ethnic movies that glorify suicide. There are some movies that glorify suicide and abuse, domestic abuse as well. How you treat your maid, your helpers at home. Some of the movies I look at, how people treat each other, I'm astonished. Every day there's a story, every day, and we only hear of the deaths. How many of us hear about attempts? I'm really happy to hear of this study because I was really curious about the attempts. I'm nearly done. Pesticides. On a policy level, it's crucial that we deal with it. We seriously have to restrict access. It's not really enough to talk about it. Many NGOs are advocating for this, so I know the minister has dealt with it. But we really need to take the bull by the horns and just do it, because this seems to be one of the most popular ways. There's too easy access. Workplace awareness. I recommend this highly. We do this at the place that I work, which is Iwokrama. We need to talk to staff, we need to get them training, bring in the labor people, bring in the NIS people, bring in the rights of women, rights of children, gender issues, gay rights, everything. And issues related to suicide. We need to inform our staff. NCN, all our public agencies, all our private sector agencies, staff need to have that information. Managers need to have that information so you can help your staff as well, right? So I'd just like to end by saying, what can we do? We can start by being kind. You never know what somebody's going through. You never know what you say can change a person's day. So let's start, what is it? Care, connect, care, compassion. The media needs to be much more sensitive. When my friend's brother took his life, there was a whole horrible story in the papers based on complete gossip, nothing to do with the family, and even the accident that happened to the 4-year-old the other night. I heard the story, is nothing as what is reported in the papers. These are people's lives. Our media, I don't know which media are here tonight, we need to be sensitive. We can't be showing dead bodies of families on the road. People have families. If it's your family, you would not want to see that in the newspaper. Let us look at how, the media can ask for training as well. There are organizations that can do training with the media. I know that you've had some training, but there's still so much insensitivity. And also we, on our personal Facebook spaces, social media spaces, look at how you address the issues, look at how you say things. You know, there are ways of saying things. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Just let's be kind. Let's be kind to each other. Let's stop beating our kids. Let's start with that. Let's stop beating our wives. Let's stop hitting our husbands. You know, we as a society got to stop this beating and shouting and how we speak to each other. How you speak to somebody might actually affect them whether they take their life or not. Let's start with that. Just be kind, I plead with you. And please put the suicide numbers in your phones. Thank you. There's one more thing. I was looking at some articles, but there's some studies I wanted to highlight. There's one of our projects, they were doing, Minister might be interested, a paper on indigenous health and well-being in French Guyana. They're finding a problem with increased suicides in the indigenous community in French Guyana, like barometers. So that would be an interesting study for you to check. This particular study, I think if you want to research toxoplasma's dark side, the link between the parasite and suicide. They've researched and they're thinking now that if you have high levels of that bacteria in your body, it makes you more aggressive and more prone to suicide. So, you know, we're asking why? There may be there's a biological reason in your head why people get depressed and so on. But there might be other things acting. What are we eating? What is in our water? You know, these are all approaches. There's a study there's some other studies I found online, the Guyana Foundation study, and also one done by the Peace University about suicide, appearing to be a culture among East Indians in Guyana, Suriname, and Trinidad. So you should Google it and see what you can find. But the toxoplasma one was something I thought I should mention. Thank you.